Since 1946, Murphy's Builder Supply has been serving the folks of Jessup, Wayne, and surrounding counties with quality products and knowledgeable service. Matter of fact, they feel they sell service first to make sure you get exactly what you need for your home improvement projects. And with each employee at Murphy's being there for 10 years or more, you know you're talking with someone with the experience to help you with building supplies, tools, paint, and all the things you need from a full-service hardware store. The best choice in home improvement is Murphy's Builder Supply, 156 Northeast Broad Street, Jessup.
8:02 here at the Big Dog WIFO world-famous Butch and Bob Show, brought to you this morning by Murphy Builder Supply. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Jonathan. We've got Mr. Bill Werkheiser on the phone. It's Wednesdays with Werkheiser. Bill, how you doing today?
Doing good. How about y'all?
Doing good. Appreciate you calling in. The governor spoke again yesterday. Still, bars and nightclubs and live performance venues still remain closed at the end of the month, but he's opened up some other restrictions that were in place. Dining restaurants expanded now from 6 to 10 people at a table, other things he's done. So just your thoughts on where we stand statewide, how it's going in your opinion, and what you see in the next several weeks.
Well, I can tell you this. Have a lot of confidence in him right now. He has proven so far every step has been very measured, and statistically, data-wise, I think it's proven to be the right move. In fact, the Wall Street Journal gave him I think he was only one of 5 governors to get an A rating. So I think that's volume, because they're generally not friendly toward, in that area. But so I think that's not that they're the measuring stick, but I think it shows when you've got outsiders giving you high ratings, and I think the facts speak for themselves.
Well, I don't believe in polls, but I saw a story yesterday on Fox News where they showed the governors across the country what their approval rating is, and Governor Kemp's was at the lowest, and the governor from Ohio was at the highest. But they broke it down number-wise and showed that the numbers in the state of Georgia concerning this COVID-19 are better than the numbers in Ohio. So I thought that was kind of ironic. So I think that'll change as time. Like I said, the more this goes on, the more and more it looks like the governor has made some good decisions. And like I said, we've been saying it for weeks. He's not making these decisions by himself. He has experts and medical experts up talking to him as well. Dr. Kathleen Toomey is his main person, but everything he said has been calculated and still trying to keep safety in mind and health in mind. So far, so good. Like I said, don't hear anything about the beaches anymore, do you?
No, and I agree with you about the polls. And I tell you what, when it's available, I'm amazed at how many times somebody puts out a poll, and if you'll read the fine print, like they may have asked 200 people. Well, out of 11 million, and I mean, so anyway, I think, yeah, the reality is a lot more important than the polls. My wife and I went and visited some of our kids this weekend, went to a restaurant. Everybody seems to be following the rules. And again, remember, nobody's forcing anybody to either open a business or go visit a business. So,
No, that's the truth. No one's forcing anybody to do anything. But like I said, I went and got a haircut yesterday. I talked to those people. I mean, those people were hurt during the time they were shut down. Same thing with the restaurant. These businesses, they were definitely hurt. A lot of businesses didn't get the money that they're supposedly get. I mean, I still go to that lady. I'm not sure what state it was. She was on TV where they locked her up because she didn't keep her hair salon closed for the time that they thought, and the judge told her she was being selfish. She said, "No, I'm not being selfish. I'm just trying to feed my kids." So, but the governor stepped in. I think after 2 days she was in jail and got her out. So, I mean, you just hear these horror stories and these stories about business owners. I mean, they're trying to survive, and I mean, they're just it's their livelihood. We talked about that from day one. What's essential, what's not essential. A lot of these businesses, for them, it's essential because it's their livelihood.
How ridiculous is that law enforcement was spending their time doing that when there's bad players out there and they're want to lock up a business owner?
Yeah, it seemed like just a sad story to hear a story about. Like I said, the judge told her that he wanted to put her in jail if she apologized, and she says, "I'm not apologizing for doing what I think was right and trying to feed my kids." So, you see crazy stories all across the country.
And I believe, wasn't that the exact barbershop that Ted Cruz went and got a haircut?
Yeah, right. Yeah, she talked about that he went. Yeah, she said she was grateful that he came, and but. Anyway, it was funny listening to Clay Travis on our AM 1370 Fox Sports today. He's always talking about the optimism. He wants to get sports back, but he said that the big story right now is people are going to be flocking out of the state of California because California has pretty much voted to lock it down until the end of July. And he says people are going to go stir crazy. They're going to be bailing from the state of California. So do you see that happen? We talked about that as well. How long can you keep grandparents from their grandkids? How long can you keep people from visiting their parents? I mean, it's getting to a point where people are just going to say enough's enough.
Well, after you said California, I quit listening. Anytime somebody brings up legislation in a committee or something and saying a few states have done it and California's in that list, I'm thinking that's a good sign for us not to do that.
We still don't know what the economic impact is going to be. You're going to have that task when you get back to the legislative session. I talked to Blake on Tuesday. I still hear the date June the 11th, but it hasn't been finalized. Is it going to be finalized?
As a matter of fact, saw Blake yesterday morning after listening to him on your show, and we were out at the state park in Reidsville, and got back and had a letter sometime right after noon. The speaker sent out a letter with some guidelines, and it is officially June 11 now.
So it is official.
Yes.
Again, we talked to you last Wednesday. Again, when you read things about the legislative session, about the proposed cuts, they're talking 14% across the board, but you said that could be not true, that there could be some hit harder, some hit less. Do you still believe that, or do you think it's going to be straight across the board? Talking to Blake yesterday, he thought it would be pretty much across the board.
I think it will be very close to across the board. What I said was, don't assume it's going to be an automatic, like there is no wiggle room. And the reason I say that, when we did the 4%, it was closer to 4%. But if an agency is able to save more, say like in the last cuts, the Department of, they found more cuts, and that allowed, they got to serve as a bank for some of the other agencies. So, I mean, that was my only point is, yes, it's going to be close to 14% of everybody, and probably closer than the 4%, because now, a lot of folks, they can handle a 4%, but when you start talking about a 14%, yeah, there may not be as much room to give in the service of the bank for those others. But I can tell you, I'm on appropriations for public safety in the House, and we found enough cuts. We were nearly $1 billion beyond the 4%, so we were able to help some of the others, like Department of Public Health and Human Resources, because they couldn't afford the cut. So now the 14, that's going to be a tall order, period.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Like I said, Board of Education is talking about here locally, not doing any furloughs. They're going to go to the reserve fund, but a lot of people don't have reserve funds. I already see stories across the state, colleges, other high schools already talking about furlough in so many days this coming school year just to try to survive. So it's definitely going to be an economic impact to everybody. I mean, it's going to be tough. Tough times are ahead. And like I said, this is still not over by any means, and nobody knows how long it's going to last. And then you hear the story about a second wave coming in the fall with the flu season. So, it's going to be interesting to see how the legislative session plays out. But speaking of legislative session, we talked before, this budget is going to take up most of your time, but other things are going to be discussed. I saw yesterday House Speaker David Ralston wants the Georgia legislature to adopt a hate crimes law when the session resumes in June. Where do you stand on that?
Well, we've already voted on it, so it's already out of the House's hand. It passed in the House, I personally did not. I was opposed to it. I have severe reservations about valuing one life over another because of either race, sexual preference. If you kill somebody, I just really struggle with that. That their life has a different value than, you see what I'm saying?
I see, Senator Jesse Stone, Republican from Waynesboro, he says he's skeptical, saying there's no consensus about whether to move forward because he says many of the committee members that he talked to are opposed because he says it could limit the discretion of trial judges or because of philosophical concerns about requiring different punishments for similar cases. Stone says the bill doesn't go enough in some areas and goes too far in others, so he thinks it would be a lengthy discussion. He doesn't think there's going to be enough time to bring this up when the legislators get back in June. So, but of course, the incident in Brunswick, the incident in Brunswick's got national headlines. Everybody's looking for a story. Everybody's, hopefully justice will be served in that case. I mean, that's just a mess down there in Brunswick, Georgia. Now on their fourth prosecuting attorney. It's coming from Cobb County now. So now the Attorney General's got an investigation on whether or not there is prosecutorial misconduct in the two other DA's offices in Brunswick and Waycross. So everybody's looking for a headline. Everybody's getting on TV, giving their opinion. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Well, and it is interesting in that, if you'll notice, there was no local reps from that county among the legislators who, it was folks from outside our area coming down looking for a headline, like as you said. So why not let the locals handle it? And back to the hate crime bill, it's, as you know, from on a prosecutor level, they've got to have the burden of proof is on them. And so now you're asking them to judge a person's motive. And so if I kill you, was there hate? Well, usually there is. But is there additional level of hate? I mean, I know it sounds politically right to do that, but like I said, I just got problems with that. And I don't, interestingly enough, even though percentage-wise, the makeup of Republicans and Democrats is very similar, the Senate generally is more conservative than the House. And so I just don't see it. For all the above reasons, I don't see it.
We're going back to the Arbery case. No one said a hate crime until the family lawyered up from lawyers, from Philadelphia and somewhere else. They were on TV last night saying it was definitely a hate crime, but I didn't hear the word hate crime till just recently when the family got lawyers from out of state. So it'll be interesting how it all plays out. But I said when it first happened, I didn't hear anything about it being a hate crime. So it's just interesting that now all of a sudden that's what the headline is. So, but I just wish everybody would just back up and just let it play out and see how it all plays out. But like I said, everybody's got their opinion and already rendering a verdict. So that's what you got a judicial system for, to let it play out in court and see how it all plays out. So
exactly,
it's a mess down there. Yeah. But getting back to the session, like I said, and it's going to be tough. You got a timeline as well. June 11th, the budget has to be approved by July 1st. Is that correct? Or
that is correct.
So you have all the way up until that point to meet, or is there a timeline? How long you guys are going to be up there, or how does it work?
Well, constitutionally, we cannot be there more than 40 days. Although, of course, the leadership called special session. But Senator Tillery made a good point yesterday. We're not exactly starting the process over process-wise, because normally the governor releases his 600-page proposal. The House has it for several weeks, makes adjustments, and then the Senate gets it. Well, that's where we are now. So and again, following the constitutional process, we're not going to start over. The House has already passed the budget. Now, we know that budget is worthless, but that's the budget that is out there that process-wise is in the Senate. So it's almost like the roles have been reversed. Instead of third bite of the apple, they're actually going to have the first shot at it, and then it will come back to the House for agree, disagree. And generally it's a disagree, and then they appoint a conference committee, 3 House members, 3 Senate members, and then they, do the final adjustments from there.
And just joining us, Bill Werkheiser, State Representative, on with us on Wednesdays with Werkheiser. We ask you all this. We ask you this every Wednesday. We've got you. Like I said, you hear from your constituents on a constant basis. How are things going with the small business loans? I keep asking about that. Like I said, I keep hearing some people have got it, some people don't have it, some people are struggling with it. So most people are getting their stimulus checks, but there's still people out there that haven't got that. So what are you hearing from your constituents? What are their concerns, and what are the issues right now that are coming to you from your people in your district?
Well, interestingly enough, the business loans, I'm not hearing, unless the others are, I'm not hearing a lot of stories there. Where I'm hearing from is folks who are having problems with the Georgia Department of Labor on unemployment, and I can generally help them on that, but that's where most of my, where I've been able to, but, again, I think that a big part, and I've said this before, that I think one of the reasons it's gone fairly well, the ones that I've talked to, because they've had good relationships with their banker, it's just local relationship, but I haven't been hearing those problems.
What about testing? The governor's encouraging everyone to get a test, even if they don't have any symptoms. He said there's 66 sites across the state. We've had stories where mobile units have come to Long County and other places. What are you hearing about the availability of testing in the state of Georgia and also here in the district?
Yeah, I am hearing that most people who have 0 symptoms, it is hard to motivate them to go get a test. Especially when we just went through a period. So it's funny, we've gone through 3 stages. At first, even if you wanted to test and had symptoms, because the tests were so limited, you couldn't get them unless you were a healthcare worker or, emergency worker, law enforcement or such. And then stage 2 was, okay, we've got more tests. If you're sick, come get a test, but only if you're sick. And then now, here we are 6 weeks later, it's like everybody goes to get tested. So I don't know if that's part of the problem that people have been told, for 6 weeks, don't get a test. Because think about this, Bob. If someone, especially in the early going, got sick and it was hard to even get a test, you got to remember, it's in the high 90% that you're going to recover. In fact, it's over 90% that even get hospitalized. So if you were in those first 2 waves, you just lived through it like you did the flu. And since we were being ordered to stay away and people were being safe, and I think that's why we continually saw the numbers go down, I just think it's going to be hard to convince people to do that, but I would encourage them to do that. I think more importantly, what I'd like to see is a antibody test people have confidence in. Dr. Toomey, from her study, said, and I've read it elsewhere since, that the antibody tests were not that accurate. And if they're improved, that's really what you want to know. You want to know if you've built up immunity, because you and I could have been around somebody and just built up immunity. Because remember, again, most people, if you're young and healthy, the range has been so wide, you could have thought you just had a cold that week. So I think that the antibody test is going to be the bigger issue. If we can do that, then that'll give people confidence to go out and spend. And that's another thing. So the Appropriations Committee met last Thursday, and we're meeting again today at 11. And last week we heard from the state economist and the budget director, and the numbers were not good as far as consumer confidence, even though we hear a lot of people saying, give us our liberty, let's do what we want. It's consumer confidence is in the low 30s, and that's not good because that means they're not going to go out and spend even if they can.
Well, the biggest issue for me from day one is the inconsistency on the message. It doesn't matter who you listen to. Everybody's got a different opinion. Good example here is right now in the state of Georgia, the governor's out there telling everybody we're in a good spot. Numbers look good, but yet you see the mayor of Atlanta telling everybody that the numbers don't look good and everybody needs to stay home. So, then you see national people on TV saying that the governor made a mistake. So it's like you just don't know what to believe. Everybody's got different numbers, different figures. That's the frustrating thing to me, but that's been the frustration for me from day one. There's no consistency on what the message is.
Well, and I think part of that is the opinions were already made up, such as the mayor of Atlanta, by default, is going to disagree with the governor. And we see that, unfortunately, along party lines. So they're going to grab whatever, when you got something like this, there are obviously a lot of different sets of data, depending on what you want to measure. And so you're going to find, unfortunately, you're looking for stuff that supports your political view, and that's unfortunate. Yeah,
that's what's sad. That's where it's gone to now. It's become a political football. So it's like it's going down. You wouldn't think a health crisis would become political, but unfortunately, when you see and hear everything you see and hear, it's definitely one can view it as a political issue at this point. So, again, I think the governor, like I said, he got crushed when he opened the beaches. No one's talking about the beaches. He got crushed when he opened up earlier than everybody else, but so far the numbers seem to be in his favor. So, like I said, I've got my fingers crossed that it continues to go well, but, he talked yesterday, opened up some more places, still no bars and nightclubs and live venues. Again, he still encourages everybody to do the social distancing, encourages everybody to get tested, encourages everybody to wash their hands, avoid large gatherings. So he's given the warning, and like you said, it's still free choice at this point. You don't have you don't have to go to the restaurants. You don't have to go to get your hair done. You don't have to do things if you don't want to. So it still comes down to your choice. But like I said, I think most people are stir crazy at this point, ready to get out of the house and go back to some type of normal way of life. So I said I went and got my haircut yesterday, been in restaurants this week, so it seems like it's safe to me.
So what was your experience at the barbershop? Did it have a steady crowd? Or?
Yeah, it's had a steady crowd, but like I said, they only let so many people in. I mean, and that's what most businesses are doing. And the governor said, Georgians are pretty smart people. He asked them to do the social distancing and do what they're even the restaurants that I went to. Like I said, it's spread out. They're doing everything they've been asked to do. So, I think most people are doing exactly what they've been asked to do. They still understand that it's a virus that could be spread, from people that don't have any symptoms, so things like that. So. When I go to a grocery store, which I don't do very often, I wear the mask, see most people wearing the mask. So I don't know, is that what you see? Most people abiding by what they've been asked to do?
Yeah, except maybe for the mask thing. And that's weird, too, that this is the anger that people have, like, that feel like everybody should wear a mask. And it's like, if you want to wear a mask, wear one, because let's say I'm not and you are. Then you're protected. So I don't know. That's one of the many, many reasons I stay off social media is just the anger over every little issue. It's just unbelievable.
I know this may sound weird to some people, but I just pray every night there's going to be a college football season, because I can't imagine the fall without a college football season. So, I can't imagine colleges across the country surviving without a college football season. And like I told a friend of mine, University of Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, all those universities, they may be able to survive a couple of years without college football because they've got money. But there's a lot of colleges across this United States of America that if they don't have a college football season, they're probably not going to be open their doors. I mean, they're not going to survive.
Yeah,
that's a big income to universities across this country is the college football season.
Probably the biggest. And I forgot what I was going to say about that. Oh, I was going to say, and that, there's, back to the budget, one of the many factors you got to think about is, and it's kind of aggravates me, that if the regents get cut and they feel like, well, those cuts were too deep, they'll just go get it from the students. I feel like we've already unfairly have raised tuition rates way beyond. I mean, that's why we have the debt we have, and it's one more example of when government gets involved in something, how cost goes up. When I went to Georgia Southern, I worked in a print shop, and I worked 40 hours, kept my grades up, and I remember walking to Rosenwald every other week, taking my paycheck over there. So I graduated with no debt. You could 180 hours a week and pay for college now. And so it's, because people say, well, it costs more because of inflation. No, when you look at wages versus the cost of college, like I said, you can't work a normal job now and pay for college. So it's one of the bad things. Whereas and my point was, so regents will go to their customer, the students, to get more money, whereas other folks, when they have a cut, so like the Department of Corrections, there is no income for them to go get. So that's one of the many factors you got to look at.
I didn't watch much of the hearings yesterday, but one thing that came out to me, I don't know who it was, I don't know who to give credit to, but he made a good point. He said, they every day you hear about the number of cases, you hear the number of deaths, but what they don't tell you is how many people have had it and recovered from it. He said it might be nice to let people know how many people have recovered from the virus once they had it. He said, where are those numbers? You don't see those numbers. I mean, it's always gloom and doom. It's never the good news. And why don't we report how many people have had it and how many people recovered from the virus? So I thought that was a good point. I said, I can't remember who said it, but I thought that was interesting, about giving us some good news instead of all the bad news every day.
Well, I stay away from the national news things too. I have to depend on Wednesday talking to you to find out what the federal news is.
All right. Well, again, you feel good about what the governor's done so far. I think he's proven to be right so far. I mean, it could change, but everything he's done has been calculated. Like I said, he hasn't done it by himself. He's done it with experts telling him what to do. But it seems to me like what he's done has been right and has been working so far.
And I do, and it's not because I happen to be in the same party and supported him when he ran. Because I was honest with you, that very first week, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, I told you I was a little scared, and like a lot of people thought it might have been too soon, but then I remember that following Wednesday said, well, and again, that's why you've got to give, whether you like him or not personally, what you just said. He is surrounded by experts, so allow that system to work. Because, I know it's stressing him out. Every time he lays down at night, he's got to wonder if he's going to wake up to a catastrophe, Well,
they don't give him any credit for some things he's done. He brought the National Guard in. He brought in hospital beds. I've seen a lot of positive things that he's done across the state. When the outbreak occurred in Albany, he was down there, asking those people what they needed and, making sure they had, what they had. I think he's done a lot of good, but how the national media is, they just want to continue to bash him by questioning every move he made. But like I said, those decisions can't be easy. He says that you can just see it in his, he's not making these decisions lightly. I mean, like I said, he's not doing it by himself. He's doing it with a lot of experts that he's relying on to give him the best possible advice he can possibly make, the decisions that affect everybody across the state. And as he continues to tell people, it's a big state. And we said it last week, we'll say it again. We've been stuck at 13 positive cases, if you believe the data from Department of Public Health, for the last 6 days. We haven't even moved from 13. And we're going on the 9th week of being, under these restrictions and guidelines. And people are just shaking their head like, why are we shutting down businesses and doing all this for 13 cases in Wayne County? But That's just one area of the state. That's what I hear when I talk to people. What are we doing? Why are we doing what we're doing for 13 cases?
Yeah, and that's pretty amazing. I mean, population of Wayne's around 35,000 people and 13 cases. And
Long County's got 5. Another county right across the river, they have 5 cases. They've been sitting at 5 for the last 2 weeks.
And there could have been, but let's say it's even double that. Let's say people had, were young and healthy, and the symptoms were not that bad for them. Let's say it's double. Let's say it's 26. It's still out of 35,000 people. You're right. That's the argument for getting us back going. Because I talked to a business owner this morning, and he said the same thing, that it's been tough. I spent over an hour last night with another business owner, and he said, it's kind of crazy. He said he would never wish this, but he said, but I'll tell you, he's in the restaurant business, that his sales are way up. Had one of his best months ever. His cost of goods was down 4%. His labor was down 7% because of closing the dining room. And I said, well, tell me about, those figures, cost of goods and all. He said, well, people aren't getting refills. Because, most people, if you dine in, you're going to fill up right before you leave. He said, and the average order was like, I think he said 14% higher. And he said he can't figure that out unless, because they're not getting refills, they're ordering, they're supersizing, or up, call it, getting a large drink, large fries. So it was interesting. And then, there's other business, hardware businesses have done very well, but like I said, we need everybody, and because the businesses are the backbone of our community, and especially our smaller communities, we depend on so much. So.
Well, hopefully the numbers will continue to be going in the right direction. As the governor said yesterday, he feels like the state of Georgia is in a good place. Again, he did some restriction lifting yesterday and also made some other announcements. Like I said, the bars and nightclubs and live performance venues have to remain closed until the end of the month to reassess that. But again, just hoping and pray it all continues to go well. Bill, always good to talk to you on a Wednesday with Werkheiser. Again, look forward to you being back in the session in June. So, not in June, I'm sorry. Or is that right, June?
Yeah, June 11th.
June 11th, right. That is the date. Yeah. So that is definite, right? That you can confirm that as the definite date to go back. Will you go early? Would you go, when will you return, do you think?
Probably go up there a day or two before, and we may. So, like I said, I've got an appropriations meeting. Which our new chairman, Senator Tiller, will be leading. We've got that at 11 o'clock via Zoom, and then next week, I think they said May 18th, we could start meeting in person at the Capitol, but haven't had any other meetings down appropriations to be called. So,
okay, again, we appreciate you being here every Wednesday with Bill Werkheiser. Again, stay safe, and like I said, hopefully these numbers will continue to go in the positive direction, and we'll continue to follow it as it progresses here in the next couple of weeks. School is right around the corner, even though graduation should be taking place now, and a lot of people are missing out on that in prom, but that's the big question. Georgia High School Association is battling and having meetings every day. When will they get back to normalcy? Will there be a high school football season? Will there be a fall schedule? Will kids go to school on time? All those questions still need to be answered as we head towards the summer months. So it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out.
Yeah. Well, thank you all very much. Y'all have a good day, and y'all call me if you need me. Okay,
Bill, thanks so much. Again, that's Wednesdays with Werkheiser here on the world-famous Butch and Bob Show. Again, tomorrow we've got probate judge Tammy Thornton is one of our guests. Susan Nash, also for the registrars, also be on hand, talk about the safety precautions that are going to be in place when the early voting begins on Monday, and also the election on June the 9th. That's the date of the Georgia primary. Also this Friday, another candidate for sheriff will be in the studios with us as Chuck Mosley will make his second guest appearance on the world famous Butch and Bob Show to talk about his campaign for sheriff. Again, early voting gets underway Monday. It's a 3-week early voting period, and it'll be down at the registrar's office each day. So, again, we'll have all the details tomorrow with probate judge Tammy Thornton tomorrow on the world famous Butch and Bob Show. Jonathan, have a great day.
All right, Bob. World famous Butch and Bob Show on WIFO brought to you this morning by Murphy Builder Supply. At 8:37:23 until 8, let's get an update from Fox News Radio.